Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Saturday episode. We're visiting Kahn and Selesnick studio today. Well, specifically Nicholas Kahn's studio, but Richard will be joining us as well. Before we dive in, I want to give our shout out to Pipes Cafe in Cardiff. They're open for takeout. They're serving their breakfast and lunch from 7 to 2 p.m. From 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. You can call in and prepay or order on site, and Victor will be sharing that information with you. Now I want to pass it over to Kahn and Celeste, Nicholas and Richard. Tell us what you've been up to.
Hey there. So I've worked on both sides of this flag from our series on rewilding flags that we're going to take out eventually if we can finish enough of them. And this one is, let's take this off here and see if I can show it a bit closer. That top part you can see, this is a hawk moth. I think it's called the elephant hawk moth, and it's actually pink with these incredible green colors, and it's furry below and has a really long tongue. There he is. And he's got these cute little feelers and amazing wings. He's probably only 1.5 inches tall. And then he's kind of, if it's a he, I don't know, it might be a she, we're still not determined. Seems to be holding up this caterpillar in the act of metamorphosis. And it's kind of coming out that it's like a sort of revolutionary French woman coming out of the caterpillar that I think the moth is talking to, helping, kissing, holding, molesting. It's really hard to know what this caterpillar is up to with the moth. And it's not the exact same breed caterpillar as the moth. I don't believe they're the same species. So she may be picking it up and dropping it on the landscape. It's hard to tell what's going on here. So that's one side. And then I will see if this stays for a sec. I'll turn it over. So I'm trying to do the drawings on both sides because it bleeds through with the pastels. And so you see the shape when after I've done one side and used some of the fixative on it, you see that image a little bit on the other side. So on the other sides, I am trying to match that shape and start in and use that as a kind of idea of what I want to fill in and add to the narrative. And so, let's see, you can see the whole thing from this. Here's the whole thing. That is a fuchsia flower. So apparently the elephant hawk moth is in Europe a lot and some parts of Africa. And it naturalized in Europe is the fuchsia. And it's this amazing colors, very similar to the hawk moth, but the caterpillars spend a lot of their day eating fuchsias, the leaves and the flowers, and crawling around it. And it's kind of neat because they're weird, dark brown to black, and they look like elephants' trunks, apparently, these caterpillars. And then they have these really odd heads that look like snakes, especially when they get like a prey coming after them. Their heads get bigger. Woo. There he is. And they try and look like a snake. Oh, and there's an ant. He's crawling on there. And so, yeah, this one, and the eyes that are on the caterpillar, they're not their actual eyes. They're kind of fake eyes. The head puffs up and the fake eyes get big and scary, and it really looks like a snake. So this is like an immature one because they're pretty small in relation. When they start from eggs, they keep changing and get bigger and bigger and more strange, but these are pretty small ones crawling out of the flower. And they're chewing each of them is chewing a section. He's chewing the base, or she, I'm not sure. And she started chewing the leaf there. So they're working on it and kind of coming out of the middle of the flower in a kind of faintly sexual rape of the flower kind of way. And the ant is sort of watching luridly from the side. Not sure if it's time to go and get the nectar. The ant's a little worried. I don't know. Richard, tell me, what is this one about?
Yeah, well, it's just part of the ongoing theme of doing these flags about the insects and trying to get enough together to go out and photograph a big parade of them all. My guess is that we probably need about maybe 5 of them and maybe 1 or 2 big ones. Nicholas is actually thinking of doing some that'll be twice as big as these, so they would be 5 by 10. And I think once we have a couple of those, and maybe about 5 of these, we'll have enough to take out and do a big parade with and make an amazing panoramic photograph. Yeah. So that's the goal.
Yeah, Richard was talking about the big 5 foot by 10 foot one. They're going to be horizontal. They'll have poles on either end, the far ends. It'll take 2 characters to move those flags around. There'll be things like crickets, side view of a cricket, 10 feet long. Other types of caterpillars, long centipedes, those style. They'll be really fun to do, these kind of triumphant, really long insects. And I'll see what goes on the rear sides of those. But hopefully,
we have all the flags. There'll be the people marching with the flags, but then also you'll get a sense of the insects on the flags also kind of marching along the line.
Hopefully, yeah. And all the people will be wearing these black veils. I have this sort of wall black fabric that you can see through, but protects them from people's stray COVID sneezes on them, and should protect them from biting insects like mosquitoes when they're off in the marshes. So some insects are amazing and beneficial, pollinating insects, and most species of mosquitoes there's like 3,000 different mosquito species, and only like 15 of them carry dangerous diseases. But those 15 mosquitoes, I think I recently heard on a podcast this week, have killed half the people who have ever lived on the planet have come from mosquito-borne illness. Wow. So it's interesting how much insects have affected us.
Mm-hmm.
It's really crazy. I actually have a question for you. To me, at least, it appears that in some way you guys went down the rabbit hole and entered Wonderland. Is that something you're thinking about at all? Or?
Oh, yeah, this one's way deep into Wonderland. Yeah, no, I love that book. Love this one's very much got an Alice character on the other side, and the caterpillars, and that was very formative for me, that book.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing and giving us an update. I would like to switch it up a little bit and get to know you guys a little or a lot better, depending. So I want to do a quick fire. I actually ended up having 21 questions. I know. So who would like to go first?
Richard.
Richard.
Okay. Sure.
All right, Richard, are you ready? Quick fire questions. Okay, first one's easy. What is a typical day for you?
That's not easy. That's hard, because typical day now and typical day before all this are kind of quite different. So I'll do a typical day before all this. A typical day is basically go over to my studio. So I have to drive over the river, have beautiful view of the mountains, go down to the studio. I usually work there for usually about 8 hours or so. come back, then I'll go biking or take a walk, do a bit of reading, go to bed, repeat the next day, the next, every day is the same.
That's a typical day for you, yeah. Your go-to reread book.
My go-to reread book, probably The Rings of Saturn by Sebald.
Yeah, which is one of the books you recommended on our reading list as well.
Yes, I was just actually, funnily enough, having a look at it again.
That's amazing. What is the most common obstacle you come across in your work?
Most common obstacle? I would say technical issues with printers and computers and stuff like that. When we're trying to actually produce the stuff, the machines are finicky.
Mm-hmm. What is your favorite place in the world?
Oh, that's super. I'm pretty partial to Cape Cod, so I'll say Cape Cod.
Mm-hmm. Something you can't live without?
Food. I definitely need to eat.
What is the best thing about being your age?
About my age?
Mm-hmm.
What is the best thing about being my age? I suppose I'm kind of like, I think once I get a few more years older, there's that old person thing where you kind of have this liberating, I don't care about anything anymore kind of thing. So maybe I'll get there.
Okay, so that's the best thing about your age, is getting to that age.
Getting to that age where you,
So what age would you like to be again?
What age would I like to be again? I'd say I would like to be between 28 and 31.
Ah, sweet spot right here. What song is your daily theme song?
Oh God, my daily theme song? I don't know, something kind of like a little kind of psychedelic and drony, where you can't really hear the words because they're kind of mumbled.
Favorite color?
Blue.
Just blue? I feel like as an artist, you can't just say blue.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ultra. I like the pure ultra blue.
Okay.
Blue. Ultra
Well, that's
blue.
What keeps you up at night?
My kind of anxiety about absolutely everything keeps me up all night. Yeah.
What is on the menu for your dinner parties?
For my dinner parties, let's see. That's a good question. So I don't really cook. So
Nothing. Love it. Take out.
Excellent question. Yeah.
If you could travel in time, where and when would you go?
I think I would okay, first of all, I'd have to be able to come back. I couldn't get stuck there. But I think I'd like to go to around, I'd say the 1820s.
Where in the world? In the 1820s?
Oh, in England.
England?
Mm-hmm.
Favorite architecture style?
Oh, I do like me a bit of Greek revival. We've got a lot of that around this area, and I'm quite partial to it.
What's the meaning of life?
I'd say you're kind of born into the situation where there appears to be oneself and then otherness, and I think those two things just come together, and then when you die, it goes back into the oneness.
If you started a band, what would you call it?
I'm just saying the first thing that comes into mind, which is horseshoe.
What is your favorite insult?
Oh, my favorite insult? I don't know. I kind of like to insult myself. I'm not really big on insulting other people, so I'll just probably to call myself a donkey, but it's also a compliment.
It is. Stubbornness is not always a bad thing.
Oh no, stubbornness is a double-edged sword.
Biggest pet peeve?
Oh, biggest pet peeve? Not so big on kind of willful ignorance and stupidity.
Mm.
You know, I mean, everyone has things they're ignorant of, but you know, it's like you have to kind of make an effort.
Yeah, choose to educate yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
What new language would you like to learn?
Still mastering English. So
Aren't we all?
by the time I get that oneness I was talking about, is to be totally awesomely proficient at English.
Nice. Have you ever been in a fight?
Ooh. Oh. No, I've never been in a fight. Someone did once walk up to me on the street and randomly punch me.
Oh.
And knocked me over, but I've never been in like a fist fight with someone. You know, maybe a little push or a little lap. I've never been in a fist fight. But.
Best experience on a psychedelic?
Best experience, and I don't know anything about that. I like to meditate. I like to meditate, and if you meditate really well, you can get a glimpse of the hidden world.
Yeah, so your favorite psychedelic is meditation, is what you're saying.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What are you doing the rest of the day?
Rest of the day, it's probably out for walkies. Might be a little bit too late to ride my bicycle, but it's actually warm here today for a change.
Nice. All right, Nicholas, are you ready?
I'm ready, and I'm going to fail miserably. Hit a very high bar.
Yeah, except you got a chance to hear the questions. Richard had to answer them first time.
But my mind went blank on all of them.
Well, let's start with a typical day for you.
Peanut butter sandwich followed by drawing moths, sometimes drawing caterpillars, followed by watching a French film on one of those many things on my little iPad and falling asleep. Repeat.
Your go-to reread book?
The Magus, John Fowles. Read it in college and read it a few times since. Working on making our life a bit like that.
What is the most common obstacle you come across in your work?
Technically trying to do the impossible and pushing materials to their limits.
What is your favorite place in the world?
Morlaix in France, where we have a little house with friends.
Something you can't live without?
Chocolate, dark chocolate with hazelnuts or almonds.
You know, one of my favorite things is to get a whole array of dark chocolates for the artists when they move into the apartment first day. So.
Damn! What the hell did you have this code for? I got a dark chocolate heaven.
Yeah, so I'm sorry. Next time you guys come, I owe you some dark chocolate.
Some chocolate.
What is the best thing about being your age?
Having had the time to see the world before we lost everything.
Are you saying we lost everything in this pandemic, or is there?
Well, in the last 20, 30 years, there's been so much loss of habitat. My memories of childhood and travel around Europe when I was younger, there was a possibility of a future then, and so I can go like mind travel back to this time before we screwed it all up. So it's like having memories of a time before anxiety was with me every day around climate change.
So what age would you want to be again?
Well, I'll take 24. That'll do fine. I was traveling, I was hitchhiking that summer I traveled around from London on a moped to Brittany and Loire Valley, and then hitchhiked once I got back, and the moped died all the way up to the Isle of Harris in northern Scotland from southern England. And so yeah, that was an amazing summer. 24 was fun.
Yeah, that sounds ideal. I want to go back to 24 and do that as well. What song is your daily theme song?
I like Richard, like things that I don't understand. I think I've been listening to like this Mortal Coil recently. I found it. It's like college music that was like that. So something in that kind of strange, trippy world.
And your favorite color?
Tough one, but I'm also a blue. But and I'll go for cobalt blue for the winter.
Nice. But keep,
Yeah, right.
is this why you guys work together? You know?
Blue.
Like when you guys met, the first question you asked each other was, what is your favorite color? And since then, it's blossomed into this.
Yeah, and but it's not blue, it's bright red, as you see with me wearing it right now. And I usually have a red car. That one just got hit, so now I have a blue car.
So blue is your replacement color, maybe?
Yeah, I go back and forth.
Okay.
I red and blue.
What keeps you up at night?
Ooh. Yes. If I think about all of that stuff, yes. Yeah, the horror of financial collapse for ourselves, so that I do not want to have to get a job. My job doing this is the best job in the world. And so anything that would prevent me from continuing to make art every day for my living is what would give me the biggest anxiety.
What is on the menu for your dinner parties?
I like cooking in Italian because I lived in Italy for 9 months and my friends there helped teach me a bit of Italian cooking. So there may be something like I made a really nice pesto from, there's garlic mustard. This is a European plant that's naturalized here and it's just sprouting now. And I chopped a whole bunch of those. And made a pesto with garlic mustard this week, and it's totally delicious when you add some tomatoes and a bunch of other strange things to it. So yes.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, it was fun doing it.
If you could travel in time, where and when would you go?
I would go to the 1820s, and I'd go to England, and I'd see Richard, and we'd hang out, we'd like collaborate. To march on the hills, and we'd see just over the next hilltop would be Turner, and he'd be doing his little pastel views of the various towns in England, and we'd do ours from our hill, and ours would be competing with Turner on our little pastel journeys.
So I'm curious, in this scenario, I'm assuming you are both of gentleman stock and get to do whatever you want instead of work in the workhouses.
Let's not go there. Let's go there. Naughty
artists in the 1820s.
Yeah, it sounds ideal.
Yeah.
Nicholas, your favorite architecture style?
German Expressionism, 1920s, late 1918s. And Wiener Werkstatt stuff as well. So anything that goes from the Wiener Werkstatt to the German Expressionist, that's my sweet spot for adventurous, exciting architecture. Especially there are some really strange buildings designed by a German architect named Wenzel Hablich. And I got to visit and meet and hang out with his grandson and went to his original house. And he's this huge hero of mine because he's a painter and architect. And came up with this type of expressionist crystal architecture that is kind of a preview of what we're doing now a lot in architecture that now they can do with computers really well. But glass architecture with multiple colors and really crazy, beautiful expressionist stuff. And I kind of sucked a lot of those ideas and regurgitated them into parts of Iceberg Freistadt, which is our most architecturally driven project.
Meaning of life?
Deep, dark dives into beauty.
It makes me think of Mara's discussion of beauty yesterday.
Very much enjoyed talking to her about that. But yes, again, becoming one with beauty.
Yeah. If you started a band, what would you call it?
Pangolin.
What is your favorite insult?
Oh. Fascist.
Biggest pet peeve?
That's a hard one. Probably insensitivity to architectural vernaculars. So doing really ugly suburban housing and knocking down a beautiful old period house in the area. There's one that's going on like 5 houses away. They just knocked down this beautiful old house and they're putting up a plastic, ugly, horrible thing.
What new language would you like to learn?
Well, I'm working hard on French, and it's not getting that good. And I've got Italian sort of down. German would be probably quite useful if I could actually get a bit of proper German on top of these other 2.
Now, I'm disappointed neither of you said Dutch because it's such a beautiful language.
Gezellig?
Gezellig, yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Yes, it's a cozy language.
And it's so useful. So many people all over the world speak it.
Yeah,
Well,
really useful.
the cool people speak it. Forget numbers, it's quality.
That's true. Exactly. Thank you. Nicholas, have you ever been in a fight?
Once. Martin, what's his name? Something McGuire, something. This kid on the way to school, 6th grade, I think I was being annoying. And I think we had a very short fist fight. And I don't remember when it's over. And no, there were no champions. I was beat up constantly by my older brother. So I have taken a oath of peace at all costs, always. I'm a great appeaser. I'm not a fighter.
That's good. Best experience on a psychedelic?
Well, let me think. When Richard and I were doing psychedelics together, no, he's never done. Actually, the best was on the top of a mountain in Kauai. When I lived in Kauai for 4 months, I took some salvia divinorum with 2 friends. Well, only one of them was actually on it with me, and the other was a watcher. And it was at night, and I watched the trees turn into mothers swaying with their babies in their arms, and everything transformed into multicolored Tootsie Rolls.
That's quite an experience. What are you doing the rest of the day?
I may do another few runs with the compost to the raised beds to fill them up before the rains start coming. And then we're going to watch our favorite Dutch garden designer. There's a movie about his designs that is being streamed for free this weekend, care of this famous gallery in the west of England, Hauser and Wirth has it. And I'm forgetting his name, but he's the greatest garden designer going on today, but my brain is dead. So we have an appointment to watch this film and see all his amazing garden projects.
Sounds gezellig.
Yes, yes.
Well, thank you both so much for joining us today and sharing a lot of information with us about you and for giving us an update on your work. It was really great seeing what you've been up to, and I look forward to your reading next week as well as your studio series on Friday, which is the Big Artist Talk. And thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful evening for you guys and the rest of the day for here West Coasties.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.